We're here on Locke Mountain, and right over the Locke Mountain is what they called Royer Mountain, and all this large tract of mountain was owned by the Royer family, and they owned Springfield Furnace. So they would clear all this ground off to make charcoal, and there's a charcoal pit up here I want to show you. The Royers would cut timber and they would make these charcoal pits, and they would clear off areas on the mountain and stack logs in a teepee shape. They would set the pits on fire and they would make charcoal. It was a very intense labor process, and our property owner here found this flat spot that was on his property, and he realized it was an old charcoal pit. So we're gonna go show you that charcoal pit, and there would have been hundreds of these on this mountain here of Locke Mountain back between 1815 and probably about 1860. Okay, my customer here on Royer Mountain that we're doing some work for was very correct, and this doesn't look like, you can't really tell right now because the brush is up pretty good, but right here is an old charcoal pit, and you can see this area is flattened out here, and the charcoal pit would have came into this embankment where they actually cut into this hillside that wraps around here. Now if you look down here, you'll see kind of like the dirt's nice and black, and I found some charcoal. This is old charcoal, definitely showing that this was a formal charcoal pit. And the ground's really dark here, and yeah, just really neat finding these old charcoal pits. And they made charcoal and to heat the blast furnaces. Like I said, here's a little piece of charcoal right here, and like I said, they would cut into the hillside, and there's a berm right here that they would dig this out, and it wraps around here, and this area is all flat here. Now it's pushed, there's a lot of rock and stuff pushed around here, but I'll take you out and we'll look from the front here. Okay, so we're on Royer Mountain, and you can see this flat spot right here, and it would wrap right into this hillside here. So a typical charcoal pit was about 30 by 30. So if we stand back here, this is where the charcoal pit was, and it went right into the woods here. And it doesn't look like much, but it's just some neat history, and we found some old charcoal. This charcoal is over 150, 175 years old, and that's pretty neat to find it. But since this was all flattened out a long time ago, we cleared this area out for a customer. We took our machine up here and got rid of rocks, and he turned this area into a nice garden where he plants a lot of raspberries and, you know, fruits and stuff. So it's a really neat spot. They can grow stuff to eat, but really neat spot. But like I said, you can see the flat spot right here, and it would have circled into here. Locke Mountain, there would have been pits all over Locke Mountain. They had to clear about an acre of woods per day to run a blast furnace. So there was an endless amount of trees up here for probably about 40 to 50 years until they ran out of trees and they started using coke. But just a neat little piece of history. If you know where to look for these pits, you can find them on the mountaintops. Right now it's kind of hard because the vegetation's up, but the pit was right here, and we found our evidence of old charcoal right here. Thanks for watching. Here's a great example of a charcoal pit found in Claysburg. You can see the dark, rich, black soil from the charcoal. This gives you a better look at what a site would look like cleared out today. Although the last charcoal pit I found on Locke Mountain was full of more vegetation. This is a typical charcoal pit if you'd found it in the woods today. What's really interesting is finding 150 to 175 year old pieces of charcoal still intact. That's pretty neat. Here's an actual picture of a working charcoal pit. You'll notice the bottom picture shows the wood stacked up in a teepee, covered with leaves, then dirt. And the men working the pits, they would be called colliers. These colliers had the hardest and most skilled job during the iron industry. It required 24 hours a day, 7-day a week attention to make this charcoal. To any hunters or outdoorsmen, have you ever stumbled across a flat spot like this that had dark, rich black soil? You might have found yourself a charcoal pit. You might have wondered, why is this spot flat? I know I talked to a lot of people that have seen these and said the same thing. So if you ever run across an old charcoal pit, you might have a new appreciation for the hard work that these men did to make charcoal during the incredible iron industry. This is the Springfield furnace. This was operated by the Royer family. This furnace would get charcoal off of Locke Mountain, and this is the charcoal pit we've seen today in the video. Keeping an iron furnace and blast 24 hours a day required a lot of charcoal. There would have been hundreds and hundreds of charcoal pits all around this site.